Okay, so what happened was I came out to inspect this hive, and all these bees were bearded up over here in this area at the front of this hive. So I think they were swarming, but they ran out of time today because the sun is so low in the sky and they didn't have enough time on this canola field. And so luckily I had this nuke box with me with some frames of foundation, and I opened up the box and I scraped it along the edge of this hive, which pulled most of the bees into the box. And what I hope we see is that these bees begin to march into the nuke box. It's the first time I've done something like this, but what we should see is that the bees slowly march into the opening of this nuke box right here. And if you'll watch the entrance right in the middle of my frame, right here, if you'll watch that entrance, just keep your eyes focused there, even though there's a lot going on. Keep your eyes focused there and you'll see the bees slowly marching into the nuke box, which gives you an indication that when I scraped the bees into this nuke box, that I did get the queen that was about to swarm off. And if you see bees here at the entrance fanning, in particular this bee right there, she's just sitting there at the entrance fanning her wings, which signals to the other bees that the queen is inside this box. And hopefully before dark all of these bees march inside the box, and hopefully they stay longer than just tomorrow. But only time tells when you try to catch a swarm like this. And this is the first time I've tried something like this, so I don't know what's going to happen. But all I know right now is this is a very good sign that they're marching in and not vice versa. Sometimes it seems like they're not making progress, but if you'll keep your eyes kind of pinned right here and maybe over here, you'll see that the bees really are kind of marching in there. And when you're watching this online, if your browser or if your video watcher enables you to speed up the action, if you'll watch this video back in faster pace, you'll literally be able to see the bees marching into that hole. It's pretty cool. I've seen videos from other beekeepers or swarm catcher folks that do this all the time, and if I hadn't watched a lot of YouTube videos, I would have no idea what I just did. But sometimes you watch just enough YouTube to be dangerous, you know? And I think I'm dangerous. So the hope is that this little box on top here, this is corrugated plastic. It's kind of like cardboard, but plastic, like the stuff political signs are made out of, yard signs are made out of. This corrugated plastic box is just a temporary home when bees are starting out, and there's only 5 frames of foundation inside the box, and there's no guarantee that the bees will like it in there and stick around, but that's what you're hoping for. And once the queen starts to lay some eggs, and that just gave me a thought. One of the frames I put in this thing, if I can put in a frame of larvae or eggs and larvae, I think larvae, then they should be more likely to stay. So, one of the things I need to do after they get settled is swap out one of the empty foundation frames and put in a frame that has some eggs on it. And that makes the bees more likely to stick inside this box. I don't know how long I'm gonna hold this camera here, but I think it's interesting. And hopefully you can see that this large bundle of bees underneath this nuke box has reduced in size significantly since I started this video. And you can see those bees at the entrance are just hanging out there, fanning their wings with their rear ends up in the air. And what that's telling the other bees is, hey, come on in here, this is where we are. And they're fanning the scent of the hive, the scent of the colony, letting the rest of the bees know, hey, we're in here. And even some of these bees on the outer edges are fanning. And the bees on the outside of the cluster are climbing upward to get in on the action. And this is just a timing thing. If I hadn't come out to check on my hives at this time of day, I just got lucky. Lucky so far. Doesn't mean they'll stay, but I got lucky that I was able to kind of scoop them up into a box. If I hadn't come out when the sun came up tomorrow morning, they probably would have sent scouts out to find a new home and flown away. You might be able to see a really large bee right there at the tip of my finger on the edge of the box. That's a drone. And the drone, which is the male bee, they're quite a bit larger in size than the average worker bee female. And he's right there on the edge. And he just went inside, or he's right there at the entrance, just about to disappear from view. Hopefully you saw that. And there's probably more than one. I just happened to notice that drone. The drones are pretty useless. The only purpose of a drone bee, they don't forage, and they don't help out in the hive in any way. The only purpose of the drone bee is to mate with a queen. The rest of the worker bees do not mate. I hear a lot of bees flying around me, and sometimes when you're standing in front of the entrance like I have been, the bees can't really fly directly to the box, so they're kind of confused and flying around behind you going, hey fatty, get out of the way. At least I think that's what they're saying. That's what it sounded like they were saying to me. So if I step aside, then they can fly in closer and get in the box. And I think I've shaded the bees right now, so I'm going to move so they don't have to be in the shade. This bee right here is doing a great job fanning. She's a big fan of the queen. Ba-dum-bum. So on this this box here is what we call a nuke box. It just has 5 frames, and for now it's sitting on top of a full hive, and these bees may have swarmed out of this hive, or they could have swarmed out of one of those two. I'm really not sure until well, actually there's no way to be sure that I know of. I'm a pretty new beekeeper, so the only way I could tell is by looking at the status of the hive below it. But I didn't want to open up the hive while this swarm was clustered on the outside of it. So this little cluster has gotten much smaller over time. If you haven't been able to tell, because it's been about 18 minutes of video so far, so if you haven't been able to tell, just do a fast reverse on this video and then fast forward, and you'll be able to see it with great detail. It happens, you're able to see it a lot better when you put the video in fast motion, but then my audio probably goes away at that point. There was a cluster of... This is where the bees were originally, on the front side of this box right here. That's where they all were originally. That cluster there has shrunk significantly. Well, you get the idea. I think I'll sign off for now. Hopefully this video is not too large for me to post on Facebook. Have a great day, and God bless.